What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are here with another spectacular interview. Very excited for this one. Acclaimed indie rock legends, like capital L legends. The Antlers, going on tour. Excited. I am very lucky to be joined by the one and only Peter Silberman on this beautiful Thursday night. How's it going?
Thanks for having me, Jay. It's going very well. It's a beautiful night here as well. Um, yeah, happy to be talking to you today.
Same. So the first thing that kind of got me so excited and energetic and got me to email your management in the first place was this new tour. Coming to Atlanta, it's where I live. I am ecstatic, truly. And I just wanted to know what made you want to run it back? Was it that incredible? I mean, just hype it up for me, will you?
You mean coming back to Atlanta or doing the
Well,
tour one more
doing the
time
tour,
or
yeah.
yeah. Well, Will of Ockerville River, he and I and a couple other people, Michael Lerner, my longtime drummer, and Julian Cabillos, who has played with Will on many occasions. We did this tour last year, and we did like several runs of it. We did two in the U.S. and one in Europe, and I think we were all surprised how well it worked. You know, the structure of these shows is that uh, we switch on and off who goes first each night, and let's say I'm going first one night. Me and Michael, as the Antlers, will do a set about 45 minutes, and then Will and Julian will do a set as Ockerville River, and they'll play for another 45 minutes, and then we all come together and become a full band, and we do another 40 45 together. Um, and we're kind of trading off, like we're doing Antler songs, Ockerville songs, and um, we've just kind of found this real flow with it where it's kind of an unusual shape to a show, but it's a lot of fun to do, and it's I don't know, there we seem to have some crossover in our audience, and then we're kind of creating that crossover sometimes where people who are fans of one band didn't know the other one, then leave being a fan of both.
Beautiful. Why Ockerville River?
Well, I I've been a huge Ockerville fan for a really long time. His records have been very influential on me as a songwriter. Um, and especially back when I was first starting up this project, I was listening to the records that were out at the time. I was listening to them all the time, and so I think the DNA of his songwriting is it's as far as I can tell, it's pretty baked into mine at this point. I think it's made its way in there where, early on, I think I was blatantly ripping him off, and then it became maybe more of a subtle influence as the years went on. And I only met him a few years ago, but I think he and I clicked pretty immediately, and that's just continued as time has gone on. I think we are different songwriters, different musicians, but there's something complementary about doing these shows together.
For sure. I'm very excited. The whole concept of these cool sets and playing each other's songs and that crossover, like you said, is pretty incredible. And I'm glad you're taking it down south for what is to be, right, a third or fourth time. Pretty exciting, in my opinion,
Yeah,
at
yeah.
least.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I'm excited.
Have you been writing songs? It's like the question I always have to ask. It's kind of like my due diligence, or else, the audience will get angry or whatever. I'm sure you're, as a songwriter, been writing songs. Are we going to see that come out at some point in the future?
See what come out exactly.
Well, that's
Like
exactly.
new songs, you mean?
Yeah, have you been writing new songs? Are we going to see an album or an EP? Will that be like
Uh
Cowboy Sadness or?
Cowboy Sadness. Yeah, working on all of it. I have been writing songs. I'm I'm just finishing up a new Antlers album, as it
Exciting.
turns out, and working on a new Cowboy Sadness album, and starting to work on some new things as well. So yeah, a lot of irons in the fire right now.
I love that.
And
Oh, great metaphor.
hey, thank you. And yeah, I think on the last tours, I was. I think I was playing like one or two of these new songs, just kind of road testing them a little bit. So I could see that happening again for this trip.
Exciting. Now, I'm glad to see some Cowboy Sadness. Like, insanely cool thing you have going on. And I just want you to tell me about Big Ears a little bit because
Sure.
I didn't get to go. I saw the videos, I saw how incredible it looked. The lineup is perfect, and I need a little bit, I need to live through you. So tell us about it.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I felt so incredibly lucky to be there. I'd always heard from my friends who had played the festival that it was their favorite festival to play on Earth. And for people who have just been there as a fan, they've also just said it's just such a such a beautiful experience to be there for the weekend. And I definitely found that to be true. I mean, I saw some really incredible music that some artists I never thought I would get to see, like Beth Gibbons and Anoni and the Sun Ra Orchestra. And it's such a like diverse lineup where there's almost like too many good shows to see at one time, and you have to sort of make sacrifices and decide like, all right, well, I really want to see this one because it's a once in a lifetime thing. I guess I won't see this other one that I maybe could get another opportunity to see someday. The festival is really cool the way it's set up. There's a lot of venues around Knoxville, Tennessee. There's like some beautiful old like country music theaters. There's some more modern venues, and the city is very walkable. So you kind of just pop in and out of shows and just walk around the main drag and get some food, and you might run into a friend. Um, that was my experience as like a fan and as an audience member, and then as a performer. I mean, as Cowboy Sadness, we haven't done a lot of shows, but all the shows we've been lucky enough to do have just been just kind of unbelievable for us as far as like what an opportunity they've been playing in big, beautiful spaces that um, you know you just feel so grateful to get a chance to fill them with music. And for us, it was our first time playing shows out of state because this band, Cowboy Sadness, has been around for a really long time. It's we've been doing this for somewhere between 10 and 15 years, but we only started playing shows last year. Um, so there's something that's still very novel to us about it. Um, and yeah, we got to play two great shows there. Both of them were in different churches in Knoxville, and accompanied by some really just beautiful projections. And for us, it was just fun to get to play more often and to get to stretch out a little bit. The first show we did was, I think it was like 75 minutes long, and we really got to do like the entirety of our show, which is don't always get to do. And yeah, we got to just enjoy the spaciousness of it all, and it was cool to see how many people showed up for it too. I think that was really surprising for us. There was really great turnout for both of our shows.
That is absolutely fantastic to hear. I'm glad you had a great time. Did Yola Tango play with Sun Ra?
They did, but I didn't catch that show, and I
Oh,
was very sad about it.
that
They
that
were
was like a
playing, I
top
think,
C.
yeah. Oh, I would have loved to see that. I've seen Yola Tango before. I'd never seen Sun Ra Orchestra. Um, yeah, I mean, that would be such a dream to see them together.
Yeah, Yola Tango and Built to Spill are doing a duo tour. I think playing the same venue you're hitting in
Oh,
Atlanta,
really?
and
Whoa.
I'm contemplating seeing them, and I think it's a yes.
Oh, yeah. I mean, no brainer. Definitely. That sounds great.
It's awesome. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. And again, I'm just ecstatic that you're getting to come down here. Since you said that you're working on a lot of new material, my camera's doing something weird. I'm sorry about that.
That's
Since
okay.
you said something about new material, this is a question I love to ask. You can pick Cowboy Sadness, pick anything you've written that's new. Um, I want you to liken it to a baked good or a pastry. So, what pastry would it be and why?
Hmm.
It's a classic ELA question, but I love it.
Let's think. Okay, I'll think of a Cowboy Sadness comparison because your analogy there, but I don't know if you'd want to eat it. Um, Cowboy Sadness. Um, maybe I don't know. I want to say something like a cheesecake or something because it's very dense. It's very like kind of thick layers, densely packed with a lot of texture, and it's very filling.
That's perfect. I love
Does
that.
does that make sense?
No, it totally does.
Cool.
I've heard like danishes in the past. I've heard cinnamon rolls.
Mm.
The cheesecake's new. I love that.
All right, there you go.
It's great to hear. And since you've said you've been writing songs, are you the type of songwriter that just constantly writes songs every single day when you get a moment, or is this a kind of sacred thing? And if you wouldn't mind describing that for me over the past couple months, because I'm sure that's changed over the years.
Sure. Yeah, my habits around songwriting have really changed a lot over the years, and they never really stay as one thing. But I've never really been the type of songwriter who is that prolific that they're writing every day. I think if I am writing in that kind of mode, it's because I've really like made a kind of disciplined schedule for myself. And that's usually for a finite period of time. I would love if I could sustain that, but I almost never can. Um, and usually when I finish a record, I take a little break from writing. Usually it's a period where I need to kind of rest that part of my brain and uh, let things settle for a little while. Um, and then I try and kind of ease back into the process. But I try to play a little music every day. It's usually not writing a song, but I'll try to, pick up a guitar or practice piano just a little bit, even a few minutes every day, just to stay in the flow with all of that.
Exactly. I think that's essential to a routine. I love just playing guitar middle of the night, hopefully every night, just to get into the rhythm of stuff and to feel the I'm not a crystal kind of guy, but like the vibrations of it and the whole
Totally.
feeling. It's great.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very intuitive.
For sure. The question was there and then it's gone. Okay, I want us to keep talking about your habits through the past couple of months, right? Have you picked up any new hobbies? I mean, I'm seeing greenery, you know,
Mm.
which is beautiful. Gardening, perhaps?
Oh, yeah, gardening has been a hobby for a long time for me. At least like the last several years. So that, now that it's springtime, that's starting up again. Um, Woodworking was something I picked up also, like several years ago. Um, I'm not great at it, but I every once in a while like to spend some time doing that. It's a really good exercise in like patience and focus for me
Oh,
because I don't always have those qualities, and it comes up against my wanting to just wanting something to just be good enough and not wanting to do things the right way, or like the old saying of measure twice, cut once. Um, Even that alone, just like precision and things like that. I think maybe I've gotten better at that with music, but I think in terms of things like woodworking, carpentry, and handy stuff, I do get impatient. So I like to practice that sometimes.
no, I love that you brought that up. I wouldn't call myself a woodworker, but I like messing around with wood. I love whittling. It's a pretty big
Oh,
hobby of
cool.
mine.
Nice.
And I really respect woodworkers because with whittling, it's straight to the point, fast, and that requires a lot of patience. I totally understand what you're saying, but it's beautiful. It's kind of almost like songwriting in a sense, and the end
Yeah,
product is really incredible,
it's meditative.
for sure. Speaking of songwriting, great pipeline. I think one of the marvels of your songwriting is, I wouldn't call it stream of thought. I think that's too broad, but
Mm.
almost a story tale, Billy Joel-esque
Hmm.
in like vision that's still concise. It's not rambling on. It's getting to the point, but it's giving me enough atmosphere and environment to where I can really, especially on some of those songs, I can imagine everything. I can see it in front of me. And I think that's a gift.
Oh,
How do
thanks.
you edit your songs and get it down to a point where it is kind of perfectly concise, but still giving enough details and environment and atmosphere?
Um, well, I do edit pretty extensively. You often I do start with a kind of stream of consciousness style of writing, but to me, and maybe this is just because my mom is an editor, and I just kind of like inherited this skill set. But to me, so much of writing is in the editing, um, and so I think it's part of the reason that I tend to take a long time working on songs. Um, it's that I like to do multiple passes of edits, and sometimes it's through the editing that I actually discover what it is that I'm trying to say. Changing words, changing the orders of words. It is sort of building a puzzle, but it's interesting how replacing a word can change the meaning of a sentence, and then it can change. It makes you want to change the context of that central thought, and then suddenly the entire story is changing. So I think that's part of my editing process. It's always about finding the right word, um, avoiding cliches whenever I can, because I was just taught when I was in school, like that was a cardinal rule, like always avoid cliches. And I've probably broken that rule sometimes, which you have to do. You have to break your own rules.
Rules are meant to be
Um,
broken.
that's right. You just need to know what they are sometimes. And then sometimes it's better not to know the rules and just see what happens. But yeah, I'm actually not sure which I believe, if you need to know the rules to break them, or if you don't need to worry about them at all and just express yourself freely. Probably both or neither. As far as the details, I think details are part of what help paint a picture. Um, and maybe those are just like the things that stick with me in my memory if I'm writing about something. Just, a detailed image that could be just an ordinary one, uh, that I don't know, it's interesting what happens if you look at an ordinary object or scene in front of you and just describe it. I think you find quickly that what seems ordinary is actually very strange, kind of almost like a mindfulness exercise. And I think just some ability to observe and catalog things objectively, as if it has nothing to do with you, but that you're just seeing it, can be helpful for identifying memorable details that help paint that picture.
Beautifully said. And I think you bring up an interesting point, right? And brings me up to a question. That narrator aspect you just talked about, do you think it's helped you not only paint the portrait in front of you, but also kind of discover yourself by, in a sense, eliminating yourself and just enjoying what's in front of you?
Yeah, I think that's a useful um, it's a useful practice, I think, to be able to um, dissociate yourself from your surroundings. Like the way that I think of it sometimes is like not taking the weather personally, you know, um, which can be hard to do if a
Totally.
gloomy day coincides with a bad mood. But I think it's something about maybe living in the Northeast, which is that at some point I had to make peace with the seasons instead of, being, maligning winter and just waiting for summer. I think instead trying to find things to appreciate about all of the seasons. And um, part of that has to do with recognizing out in nature what is happening and why it's all necessary, and that it's it's not cold just to bum me out, but it's actually for a good reason.
That's very wise, I think, especially because more often than not, those gloomy days coincide with a bad day.
Yeah.
Almost as if like someone knows they're toying around.
Yeah.
Beautifully said. Beautifully said. And
Thank you.
since you're in the Pacific Northwest, correct?
Oh, sorry. Northeast.
Yeah, Northeast. Do you go hiking a lot? Because as a hiker
I
myself,
do.
that's kind of one of my dreams is to go see the mountains and the lush rainforests of the area.
Yeah, we don't really have rainforests here, but there is beautiful hiking all around here, and I try to get out as much as possible. And I live in a fairly mountainous area, so um, yeah, I try to get out as much as I can, and I feel spoiled to live in a place with like so much natural beauty. Um, but it's also not for everyone. A lot of people prefer to live in a city, and I did when I was a little younger. And um, yeah, now these days it just feels like a luxury to be living close to a hiking trail.
Yeah, it really is incredible. Down in Georgia, we don't really have mountains. Like the
Mm,
tallest peak is very short, but we still have some beauty. But a dream of mine is to travel up there and get to see the mountains and the trees, and the desert, and all of
mm.
that in person. So you're kind of living the life. Um,
It's a simple one, but I feel that way too.
Simple is the way to go, in my opinion, at least in my world. A little bit of a more not loaded question, just a longer question, which I love personally, and I think you handled them greatly, which is perfect.
Thanks.
Um, what are some moments that you knew this is what you wanted to do with your life?
Um, there's probably been a lot of those through the course of my life, but I think when from a pretty young age, I felt that way. I don't know that I had visions of what the future looked like at all. And um, especially when I was your age, I didn't look ahead really at all. I couldn't see past high school really. I could see past high school and that I couldn't wait to be done with it. But I don't think I had a sense of what it would mean to be a musician professionally. I didn't think about touring. I didn't think about all the things that I now think about when I'm making music. I think when I was when I was younger, I it was the thing I wanted to be doing most of all. And it's how I wanted to be spending my time. And sometimes that was just like playing music with my friends. Um, and sometimes it was coming up with something in my room at like 1 in the morning on a Wednesday night when I should be going to sleep because I have school the next morning. But instead, I'm making these crazy sounds and finding a way to record them. And everything that wasn't that just felt like I was just waiting to get back to that. Those were all my happiest memories in childhood. Were they all kind of revolved around music, and I didn't feel like I was particularly good at anything else. Not that I was like terrible at everything else, but I didn't really feel drawn to anything else except for maybe writing. Um, and I don't think I imagined becoming a writer, but from a fairly early age, I saw that there was a connection between the creative writing I was doing in school and the songwriting that I was starting to develop. And yeah, and I think as time went on, I just felt like this was very much what I wanted to do. Um, and I started to become aware of more of what surrounds it, such as playing shows and um, releasing records. And I don't think I had much of a grasp on like the nuts and bolts of it and the logistics around it, and the difficulty of earning a living as a musician. Um, so I was kind of naive about it, but I think I needed to be because if I had really understood that stuff well enough, it might have scared me off.
I'm glad it didn't. Well, we're kind of getting to the end of our interview here. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did.
Oh,
It was
absolutely.
beautiful talking to you. I used beautiful too much. It was great talking to you. I am very looking forward to that show. I'm going to try to make it out. Um, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. I can't wait to hear all the new music that's going on. I hope Cowboy Sadness continues to tour and make it out there. And I hope people realize that maybe what they're looking for is kind of right in front of them rather than trying to search for it and trying to find what their parents want them to do. So thank you.
Hey, thank you.
Have a great day.
It's been a great talking to you, Jay. And that's a really beautiful sentiment to end on. I'm using beautiful as well. I use it all the time. But thank you so much for talking. This is
Thank you.
great.
And hopefully we'll stay in touch, okay?
Absolutely.
Perfect.
Have a good night.
You too.